Another danger is nihilism, and the nihilism emerges because you shatter the meaning structure within which action is conceptualized. And so those are like two emergent pathologies that threaten people. Now, if you talk to someone who's nihilistic, and rationalists are almost always nihilistic, especially if they're depressed, they'll say things like I already told you, what difference does it make anyways? Now, Dostoevsky played out those themes, for example, in a very, very powerful way in a number of his books. So, The Possessed, for example, it's funny because Dostoevsky and Nietzsche wrote at the same time, and Dostoevsky wrote literature and Nietzsche wrote philosophy, but they were doing exactly the same thing. In Dostoevsky's The Possessed, he talked about description of the Russian political, economic, ideological scene, and what he saw happening was that as people moved away from their enmeshment in a historically conditioned meaning system, so that was, say, Judeo-Christianity, that they started to become susceptible to utopian, rationalist utopian ideologies. It was so out with one belief system and in with another. And the other was more dangerous because like the religious system sort of emerged from the bottom up, and they were weird and mythical and difficult to understand from a rationalist perspective, whereas the utopian schemes were rational constructions, ideologies, very narrow, and they were just imposed on people. So for example, the communists would say, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need, which sounds wonderful, but if you put it into practice, it's like it's instantly genocidal. So Nietzsche said, well, as the modern world suffers through the contradiction between scientific rationality and ritual religion, historically conditioned, the consequence of that is going to be that two pathologies will emerge. One is reliance on totalitarianism. And so I would say, to the degree that any of you are ideological, then you've succumbed to the one pole of post-religious pathology. And all you've done is replace adherence to one set of beliefs, even though religious beliefs are not precisely beliefs, with another that's rationally constructed and incredibly dangerous. He said, well, if it isn't going to be totalitarianism, it's going to be nihilism.